Hello and welcome to 2020 Politics War Room with James Carville, and I'm Al Hunt. We have a big announcement that we're pleased to make, and that is that the fact that Politicon has become our new partner. James has been to every Politicon event since the McKinley administration, and we are very proud to be partnering with them on this podcast. So check out Politicon.com, follow them at Politicon on all social media, and we're excited to grow the show with them moving us forward. I want to thank all of you for sharing the news about this show with your friends and family. Please don't forget to also subscribe on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcast. James, our guest is United States Senator from New Jersey, Cory Booker, one of the Democrats' leading voices on expanding economic opportunities, former mayor of Newark. He's also a member of the Judiciary Committee. Senator Booker, thank you for joining us. Mitch McConnell, the king of hypocrites. You said his hypocrisy is astounding. He sat on the nomination of Merrick Garland for 10 months under false pretenses, and now he's going to rush through the Trump nominee in weeks. But, Senator, it looks like he's going to get away with it.
Well, I don't know if he'll get away with it in the long run. If we win back the United States Senate and we win the presidency and hold the House, we have a whole set of options that we can do to begin to undo the damage that he's done. So, again, this could be a short-term gain for him, but it could really awaken a lot of folks in this country to understand that these naked anti-democratic power grabs are really threatening things that people find precious, like their health care, like their right to organize in a union, like their access to the ballot itself with voting rights. So this could be a great wake-up moment. You know, I talked to Governor Newsom last night, about California. They had this awful proposition that got passed that really woke a lot of people up, and especially engaged Latino Americans, Latino Californians in the political process like never before. And they have never gone back to allowing the Republicans to run that state.
Well, Senator, that's really a critical question you've just raised, because what the Republicans are claiming is that not only are they going to win this as far as the court's concerned, but that getting a right-wing majority is going to energize their voters on November 3rd, and this is a godsend for Lindsey Graham and Joni Ernst and all those. Do you think the Democrats will be equally, if not more, energized? Because in the past, sometimes that hadn't been the case.
Well, again, I can only speak to my hopes. The only metrics I have is the significant increase of donations, both small dollar donations and large dollar donations organically that have gone on to senators. We've seen a much greater increase for Democrats than we have for Republicans. People are angry. And in fact, the majority of Americans, over 60%, believe that this Supreme Court seat should be left until after the inauguration of whoever the next president to take that oath is. So I'm hopeful. And, you know, too often we realize, and this is what Martin Luther King wrote about so eloquently in the letters from the Birmingham jail, where he just said the issue for him was not the KKK or the White Citizens Council. He was more concerned about moderate people who are doing nothing, you know, who sit on the sidelines, even though there are really consequential issues there. And this is one of those moments where we have to ask ourselves, for me, my generation, people that were born around 1970, this is our great moment. We weren't asked in my generation to storm beaches of Normandy or to do freedom rides knowing our buses would get bombed and we would get beaten. This is our moral moment. And will we stand on the sidelines, or will we and be bystanders, or will we be upstanders and get in and involve ourselves with all of our time, resources, and energy that we have to try to help our country at this moral crossroads get on the right path?
Senator, we mentioned earlier you're on the Judiciary Committee. The chairman is Lindsey Graham. He used to have a reputation for fairness, integrity, working with colleagues. No longer. What happened to Lindsey?
I that is a question that he's going to have to ask, and I really believe that it's one that he's going to have to look in the mirror and really ask himself, because in this most recent case, we see him directly contradicting himself. I mean, it couldn't even be more bald. He tried to use the Kavanaugh hearing as that changed him, but we have him on tape subsequent to the Kavanaugh hearing speaking specifically to this idea that if for some reason there's a Republican president and a Supreme Court vacancy, that he believed that he would not. He said clearly that he would not fill that seat, and he literally went as far to say is, use my words against me. So, look, he told us that what his word was, and he's now directly violating his word. And so we know that across the spectrum of the Republicans who spoke in the way that Lindsey did, that honor is not something they will be upholding, that they have different rules that in effect, they've given Donald Trump when it comes to the Supreme Court, a 5-year term, and Barack Obama a 3-year term with which to nominate. And that to me is patently unfair. And I think the American people know it. And I do think there's consequences. I don't think you can just get away with something like that. And the fact that race, his reelection race, is now within the margin of error is a good example of what it's costing him.
James.
Senator, I have a memory, and correct me if I'm wrong, where Trump actually used you as a straw man to scare suburban women. Am I correct?
You are correct. His last 2 rallies, I think 2 days in a row, he's been calling me out during the rallies as if I was going to be some kind of boogeyman that would scare suburban voters. And let's be clear, suburban white women, I think, is who he's trying to scare, using the big 6'3" bald black guy in the Senate.
I don't mean to laugh. It's not funny, but it is funny.
It is funny. There is humor.
It is almost funny.
But the poignant part of this is, I don't know if you know my history. In 1969, I was born here in the spring in D.C., and my parents were trying to move during that time to New Jersey, and they were looking for the districts that had the highest performing public schools, which happened to be white communities in the northern part of the state. And every time they would look at a home, they would be turned away because of the color of their skin. They would be lied to. And what happened was some great activists, most